So without further ado, it has been 8 weeks. Let's see what we turned our $100 investment into so far. What's up guys, Chaz with Side Hustle Pros bringing you an update video for the 10K challenge. Now if you're new to the channel or you're just stumbling into this series for the first time, a quick overview of what we're doing. We're taking $100 and we're turning it into $10,000 net profit only flipping electronics on eBay by using sources locally like Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Craigslist, estate sales, and yard sales. And I'll add that this is on a brand new PayPal and eBay account. The challenge is I'm not allowed to order anything online. I'm not ordering pallets, customer returns, anything like that. I'm just picking up local product. Now, as far as the technical side of actually flipping these, I'm not allowed to use Amazon because I wanted to show firsthand how anyone can take this model and duplicate it. The issue with Amazon as a new seller, you're going to be restricted in a lot of electronics brands like Sony and Logitech and LG. So I wanted to show how you can flip these on eBay because a brand new seller is not going to have those restrictions on eBay. And I personally am doing this challenge for two reasons. One is I simply love electronics. I've always kind of sold them, but I've never dove into that category and really learned it. So this was one way just to really push myself into learning more about one type of product instead of trying to sell a bunch of different random stuff. So I'm learning all kinds of new stuff like what types of vintage electronics sell best, how the heck do I test receivers, all these different things that go into it, I'm learning. And reason number two was I simply wanted to document the whole process step by step, full transparency, show you guys the refunds that happen, show you guys the profits, the losses, the whole 9 yards. I wanted to document every single step. So if you are not already, you need to be following our 100 to 10K challenge right here on Instagram. And that is where we are doing a lot of the documenting behind the scenes. And then on YouTube, we're doing more overview update videos. So without further ado, it has been 8 weeks. Let's see what we turned our $100 investment into so far. We're gonna go ahead and flip this over to the computer screen, show you exactly the breakdown of what is happening. All right, so here we are in the back end of this eBay account, and I did create this from scratch, brand spanking new, just for this challenge, including the PayPal account associated with it. So as you guys can see here, the name is SHP Tech. This is a public account. I really don't care if people want to follow this just to see what I'm doing. 24 positive feedback, which is a good thing. And here's the last 31 days of sales, 34.75. You can see we're up 13% from the previous 31 days. We had a couple really good days in here. This was a $789 day. Right here was a $479. And again, I really just wanted to document this whole thing step by step with full transparency to show you guys like this is an account that I have really only put 5 to 7 hours on average per week into. So I wanted to show what an average workload, an average hobby account can look like if you're focusing on electronics. Now, being electronics, they are going to have much higher value, much higher sales price, which is why you're going to see some of these bigger numbers for not that many sales. But with bigger numbers can come bigger returns. So that's part of the ball game you have to be mentally ready for. So I just want to show you guys kind of behind the scenes what's going on here. If we scroll down, you can see 98.44 for tracking uploaded on time and validated. Sales over the last 12 months for the US is 5,037. I'll show you guys what the entire account is, including international. So if we come in here under orders and just look at some of the orders that have come in and shipped, as you guys can see, 89 total shipped, $7,738.12 for total sales. Now, if you're new to the eBay world or reselling in general, this is not how much we have made. This is just total revenue. Out of this revenue, we have to deduct our buy cost, our fees, our shipping cost, and that gives us what our gross profit is going to be. So scrolling through here, you guys can see that we did score 11 of these Explorer guitars. We still have a couple left, but we've been selling them at 65. Buy cost was 15, so we had a pretty good markup on that. We did have a couple of these that were 4 parts, so I sold them at a break-even price. They were just part of the load, so I was happy to offload a few of those at break-even. You can see the one with the box, we did $72.95. Then getting into some of my favorite flips that we've done. This one we paid $90 for, sold for $215. That's a Bose Bluetooth speaker. Hands down, my favorite find I have done so far was this JVC HR 9500U. This thing I found in a hidden thrift store on the Oregon coast, buried in a pile for $25. fully tested. I ordered a remote for it, cables. My entire buy cost ended up being $35. It was listed for roughly 4 days and it sold for full asking price of $275. This was definitely a collector's item. I was super excited to see this come through. I made sure I packaged this thing extremely well. I went through, added the extra insurance, all that good stuff to make sure that the buyer was going to be happy and they left a positive feedback. Now, with that being said, do not think that every single sale is going to be that huge. There's plenty of items that we consider bread and butter items that sell between $30, $40, upwards to $50 that we're only going to make $20 or $30 profit on. Those are the types of sales we want to see more of on a consistent basis. And then, yeah, of course, we're going to have some of these sweet flips that come in here. And here's another example of a larger flip. This actually sold really fast. I thought I'd be sitting on this for a while, possibly a couple months. I priced competitively. This was an Epson Stylus Photo R1900 photo inkjet printer. This came with a couple extra ink cartridges. $180 was my buy cost off of OfferUp, and that's the custom SKU label that I'm using, by the way, so I can make sure I know where I bought it from and how much. So FBM is Facebook Marketplace, GS is going to be garage sale, GW is Goodwill. And you can see this one, I'm not perfect, I forgot to put it right here. But bought for $180, this sold in less than 2 days for $599.95. This was a large printer, took a good amount of bubble wrap, boxing, all that good stuff that goes into it to make sure it's well packaged. But for the extra time and supplies that it took to get into this thing for that type of flip was totally worth it. Now again, that's going to be just every now and then you see a really good flip like that. If we scroll down here, you can see kind of some of these bread and butter items. This Rode mic kit, for example, bought for $150, sold for $295. This JVC boombox, bought for $10, sold for $105. The biggest questions that I'm getting on this account so far is one, what type of photos am I taking? How's my title, my description, etc.? So let's dive into that part real quick. For my photos, I'm simply using my iPhone 8 Plus, so nothing fancy. And if we just click on one of these that sold, a lot of improvements to do on how I'm actually creating my listings. I literally am just copying and pasting my title into my description, and I'll add in some extra notes based on condition. But as you guys can see, I still have some room for improvement even on my photos. So it's a good solid photo, but this can be much more white on the background. So I'm going to be working on improving my photos. And then any type of flaws, luckily this was in pristine condition, but any flaws that a unit has, you want to make sure you're taking photos of, and also listing that in your description. I always make sure that the actual model number is going to be visible inside of there as well. And we can look at this one as another example. This was a Garmin G8 pawn shop actually, which I've never sourced at pawn shops, so I'm going to start adding those to my route for $80, sold for $205. I'm a big fan of laying everything out in one main photo where they can see everything that it comes with. I'll go through and show that it does come with each accessory, and then I go through. This was in mint condition. I think it had only been used a couple times, so there really wasn't too much to list as far as flaws. There was one marking on the back right here, which I made sure that the buyer knew that was there. Came with the box. This was just an awesome flip. But again, as you can see, just basic photo. I'm not doing anything fancy. The only thing I'm doing is on your iPhone. If you don't know, you can tap on the screen when it's in focus right here, and then you can actually adjust the contrast up just a tiny bit to give it that white background. So play around with that. Of course, don't add in filters or anything that's going to make the product look different than what it actually is. And because we're starting to rack up some capital from this, our original $100 is now turned into a couple thousand. So now we have some more capital to play with, which I'm actually struggling with buying more because it's hard to spend that much locally at garage sales, etc. So I'm trying to work on getting into higher ticket items such as iPhones. iPhones are a different ball game. I'm learning the ins and outs of those, so do not get into iPhone flipping until you understand exactly how to do it. But after doing my research and some practice runs, talking to a couple experts, I'm now getting more comfortable with doing the iPhone flips. So for example, this iPhone 8, I forgot to put it inside of my custom SKU here, but I did pay $250 for this one. It sold for $435, and on the Excel sheet on the back end, we can see the exact breakdown of fees, shipping costs, net profit, etc. So that's one thing I'm starting to do, is cherry pick a little bit higher ticket items so I can start to burn through some of that capital and just make my flips larger. And scrolling down here, just again to show you guys full transparency, you can see a few of these are refunded. I'll break that down on the next page for you. This was a sweet flip. I paid $2 for it. It was like new condition in the box, sold for $54.95. I did go through and take this out and test it. Unfortunately, I don't think I tested it long enough because I did get a message from the buyer that said it's not holding a charge for more than 5 minutes. So that's something that I have the return now. So I'm going to go through and fully test it again. So again, I'm in here being transparent, just doing this journey and learning myself as well. So now I'm learning with electronics, you've got to make sure that you're fully testing, including if it's something that holds a charge, make sure it's actually holding a charge for the amount of time that it's supposed to. So lesson learned on that one. Fortunately, the buyer was totally happy with just a full refund. I apologized. He's cool with it, and we moved on. So now that you guys can see kind of an overview of the types of stuff that we are selling on this account, I'm going to go back into returns so you can see the exact refunds. We're going to go to last 90 days. We want to do all of our closed ones because I don't have any current open ones. Now, here's one thing I do want to point out. Buyers oftentimes do not even read descriptions. For example, this was one of those 4 parts guitars that I sold for $35. Clearly stated in the listing, which now that I'm looking back, I should have put this in the actual title as well, so it was easier to see. But in the description and the photos, I showed that there was a piece on this wire that was not working properly, therefore the unit did not work. So I got a message after this was delivered stating that I sold him a broken guitar, which of course I then apologized for, and I just let him know that that was in the description. Gave him a full refund. I have no issue with that. And because the neck on this guitar does not detach, the shipping on it was going to cost more than what it's actually worth to try to resell. So I told him to go ahead and keep that unit. He can try to fix it or resell it himself, and I gave him a full refund and he was happy with it. This return right here, when I created the listing, I copied someone else's listing and I totally spaced to change the actual model number, even though this unit and the actual ND1000 look exactly the same. They do the exact same process. They're different models, and that was my mistake. So again, offered a full refund. Buyer had no problem with that. And again, that was a learning experience for myself. So you guys can kind of see I'm going through this just like everyone else is. So I'm learning this ball game. We did have 2 of these scanners. Both of them, they said did not work, which I know is false. I tested them myself. And I'm learning that's just part of the ball game. A lot of buyers are going to make up whatever excuse they want to, whether they have buyer's remorse, they found it cheaper somewhere else after they ordered it. There's all kinds of situations and scenarios of why buyers return stuff. So if you do get into electronics, especially having a higher value means you're going to have higher returns. So you can see like this Bose headset right here was returned for $190. This was $119.95, $105. If you cannot mentally handle returns like that, electronics is not going to be a category for you. It's a higher risk and higher returns, but the rewards are far outweighing it. And we're going to show you at the end of the video exactly how much our net profit has been so far. So all in all, out of 89 items, having 8 returns, not too shabby. So now I'm actually going to flip over, pull up our Excel sheet. This is what I'm using to do an accurate breakdown of every single item. I've got the date that it was sold, the product, where I sourced it from, cost, sale price, eBay fees, PayPal fees, my shipping cost, my total as far as fees and shipping, my refunds has its own column, and then what the net profit was. Now, real quick, I want to make a little point that there's a lot of improvements I personally need to make to use this Excel sheet. So when you see that I have a $28 return, $8.74 profit, I had already input that $8.74 profit before the return, and at the bottom is where I'm going to tally all this up and give you guys an accurate breakdown. So I could sit here for the next hour and just cherry pick and go through every single sale that has happened, but I think you guys have gotten the hang of what we are doing. But you guys can see I am accurately tracking every single thing. You can see all the different profits. A lot of these bread and butter items, we've got 16, 34, 18, 40, 27, 15. Those are what we call the bread and butter items. Those are the typical items that are selling for an average buy cost, average sell price, and we're making average profit. And then a couple of those really good ones is 113 profit, 106, 96, 65. A few items have been bad buys. Let's look at this one, for example. This Polaroid camera I picked up for $5. Sold for $27.95. After my fees and my shipping cost, I was left with a $9.83 net profit. Now that's technically almost doubling my money, which is great. That's 100% ROI. But as far as a dollar amount on this higher end electronics account I'm trying to shoot for, that dollar amount is too little for me to want to do that next time. What I'm trying to do moving forward is really cherry pick and just shoot for things that can make a minimum of a $20 net profit. Because there is time that goes into the sourcing, looking it up on your eBay app, the shipping, the bubble wrapping, all the little time that goes into these was probably not worth that $9.83. But again, I'm here to be transparent and document the process and show you guys I'm learning too. Here's another one of our best flips that we've done, and shout out to wifey. Trista found this at Goodwill, and she never does electronics. She saw this little white box called a Sonos. So there's a little Bolo brand for you, Sonos. She found this thing sitting there for $10, brought it to the office. I have not really messed around with Sonos stuff before. I know it's a higher end electronic brand. So I downloaded the app. I got this thing all connected, fully tested, worked great. It was in mint condition. It was listed for a few weeks. I started at $280 and slowly dropped my price, and it did sell for $235. And after my fees and my shipping, we made a $188 net profit, which was great. And as you guys can see, we've broke every single sale down for it. I don't know if you want to screenshot this. I'm not going to break every single flip down for you. But here's some of those returns. So like I said, I originally made $11. Then I had to return and refund. So $45, and then I do the math after that. Again, my totals are at the bottom. I had a $62 return, a $195, a $113. And it's very easy to focus on the negatives because while these are returns and we're technically losing money, we have to look at the big picture and not so much on the itemized breakdown. Because if I just focused on these returns, that is depressing. But if I focus on the big picture and look at what did we start with, $100, how much are we up? And you'll see that at the bottom. That's what I need to focus on, is just the positives here. So all in all, I am super happy with this account. Let me scroll down here and cut to the chase. Our 9/19/2018 update. We started with $100. We have sold 89 units. Our total buy cost, so this is cost of goods that have actually sold, has been $2,023, generating $7,838 in sales. Our fees and our combined shipping was $1,899. Our refunds was $691. But again, at the end of the day, after we take our fees, our shipping, and our refunds, we have yielded a $3,240 net profit. Now, when I say net profit, this is after my cost, my fees, my shipping, and my refunds. This is not after taxes. That's a whole nother scenario. So of course, I'm gonna have to pay taxes on this. Talk with your CPA if you're gonna be getting into tax questions. So pre-tax, we have made a profit of $3,200, which I am pumped about because I have not put in more than 5 to 7 hours per week on this account so far. So there you have it, folks. That is our official update. We have now turned $100 into $3,200 profit. That has come with about, on average, 5 to 7 hours of actual work per week. And if we're gonna look at how much I'm technically making per hour with those numbers, if we take 7 hours per week times 8 weeks, that gives us 56 total hours of work. We're gonna take our profit of $3,240, simply divide by 56, and we are left with approximately $57 per hour is what I would technically be making by doing this work. Now, I will add that I have not been putting as much attention and focus on this account as I would like. All kinds of life excuses I can come up with. As you can tell from our background, it is chaos in here. We actually did move our entire warehouse and our office during this time. We've had a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, so some weeks I actually didn't even do any work on this account. There was a 2-week period where I didn't touch this account. And then other weeks I may have put in 10 hours. But at the end of the day, if I look at the total average of the last 8 weeks, I've put in approximately 5 to 7 hours per week. Now, to some people, that is going to be an awesome wage to be creating about $57 per hour. To other people, that's not even worth their time and they won't even bother doing that. I'm not here to determine if this is gonna be the right fit for you. I'm just here to document the journey that I created for myself on this baby account, and I'm just gonna watch it grow. Now, with that being said, we are officially back in a regular schedule, and I'm actually excited because I'm gonna be putting in more than those 7 hours per week. I wanna try to put in about 15 hours per week, source more now that we have more capital to play with. I'm gonna try to cherry pick higher ticket items. I'm gonna be really trying to be aggressive with this account and just see how quickly we can make this $10,000. And again, the goal is 10 grand to be profit, not just the sales number. Sales number is easy. We're already almost to $8,000 in sales. So being about $3,200 on our net profit so far, that puts us about 1/3 of the way to the goal. So it's gonna be cool to see what we did in 8 weeks with kind of hobby level work versus a little more effort, more time, more attention over the next 8 weeks. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of our 10K Challenge update. Be sure to follow the Instagram account 100 to 10K Challenge. That is where we are doing a lot more documenting behind the scenes. I'm taking screenshots and showing you guys the flips as they happen, so you don't have to wait for these video updates. If you're new to the channel, new to the series, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification if you want to get notified every single time that we upload or go live. This has been Chaz, been awesome hanging out with you guys. I'll see you next time.